Well, praise God and welcome to Leah on a Light, ladies and gents. I had almost forgot to podcast to you guys. There's a lot going on with me right now. Next week, I will be on vacation to Salt Lake, Utah. And, I don't have too much expectations because I understand Temple Square is under construction and the conference center and the like. So, we're going to go ahead and go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I think this is going to be called marriage issues. And this is actually one of my more, where I have the most fun with this, okay? Now, we're going to go ahead and skip down to verses 3 through 5. We're only going to have selective verses today, because I'm sure it's a lot of material. Beginning in verse 3 of 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And actually, I didn't study this until after my divorce. But let's listen to this. Verse 3. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. You know, I think that's something that is sadly missing in this culture. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen it in my own life. You try to conquer the woman's heart, and then once you're married, there's a part of you that's kind of like, well, man, the cowboy's gone on, the adventure's gone. Now what? I hit that until, for a time in my marriage, I was only married for a year and a half. For a time, I found some adventure in the marriage, and it was quite fun. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Having to be aware of my surroundings here. There's a lot of noise going on. But we press on, okay? That tells you something. I don't think that necessarily means that, your body is property to your spouse. What it is really, the way I see it, is Paul's warning that one should be faithful to your spouse. Now, maybe back in those days, it was that way. Now, we're going to go into the JST, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5. Depart ye not one from the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not, for your incontinency. Now, I don't necessarily understand everything that's about that, and we'll go ahead and, since I'm not married, I don't feel like I am a one to really explain that. Now, verses 8 and 9. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. And here's another JST for verse 9. But if they cannot abide, let them marry. For it is better to marry than that they should commit sin. That's a lot of wisdom right there. And we're skipping a lot of verses because, well, there's so much content. I ask you to kind of read 1 Corinthians chapter 7 on your own. If you're married, preferably with your spouse. Because I wish I'd known that wisdom while I was married. Verse 17. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Okay, verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children clean, but now are they holy. And if you look in Doctrine and Covenants 74, it explains in particular what Paul means by that. I don't really have the time to really go through that. Now, verse 15, okay, this is my favorite verse, because I was crushed after my divorce. I thought maybe God would condemn me for what happened, because it was the very thing that I said that I thought would never happen to me. Verse 15, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart, or let her depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases. For God hath called us in peace. Now I know in the original King James it says to peace, but I agree with the Greek that says that we are to be in peace. That says something right now. Now, verses 18 and 19. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become circumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be called circumcised. Now, I never understood why Paul put that in there, except for the ancient world. That was one of the biggest controversies, because of the controversy that led to the council in Jerusalem, mentioned in Acts chapter 15, where the 12 apostles had to settle a matter. Verse 19, circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God. Okay, verse 20. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Once again, I mean, I agree with the Apostle Peter that some of the sayings of Paul can be hard to understand. Now, verses 23 through 25. You are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. Verse 24. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called, therein abide with God. Verse 25. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgments as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord. to be faithful. Okay, now we're going to go to verse 28. But then if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you. Verse 29. Ooh, this is okay. We're going to go ahead and finish the rest of this in the JST, which I appreciate. But I speak unto you who are called unto the ministry. For this I say, brethren, the time that remaineth is but short, that ye shall be sent forth unto the ministry. Even they who have wives shall be as though they have none. For ye are called and chosen to do the Lord's work. Now, some of this wisdom I don't really understand, but I just go with the flow. And we're really going to skip through a lot of this. 33 through 35. If I can get this. But he who is married... okay, we're going to start with verse 32. Because this one really blesses me. Because there have been times since my divorce that I've questioned, whether God could still use me or bless me because of what happened. But I would, brethren, that ye magnify your calling. I would have you without carefulness. For he who is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord. He may please the Lord. Therefore he prevaileth. But he who is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Therefore, there is a difference, for he is hindered. Now, Now, I know there's some... I'm going to go ahead and just do some nutshell here, because we're really getting into a lot of deep content. I advise you, if you're interested to know a little bit more about the guidance regarding marriage according to the Bible, I want you to read 1 Corinthians chapter 7 on your own. There is a couple set of verses that, Christians use to be against divorce. It says, but to the married I commend, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or else be reconciled with her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. Okay, I saw those after my divorce. And to be honest with you, I felt back then, I was a Southern Baptist. I felt like God was maybe condemning me. That he could not use me. And it was only after I started investigating the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I had some good friends. My good friend Chris, he told me, he said, look, just because you're divorced, and from what I gather, Jimmy, it's through no fault of your own, God can still use it. He can still use you. The priesthood is for every worthy man. And so, that means a lot. And even after I joined the church there for a while, there were times I questioned. Now, I'm aware that God hates divorce. And to be honest with you, so do I. It was the last thing I ever did want. And it hurt. No doubt it hurt. But the one thing I learned is to be steadfast and stay strong in the Lord. My divorce was tough. It was gut-wrenching. But in the gospel, I persevered. And that's why I'm here preaching the gospel to you, it seems like every other night. Now with that, I hope you enjoy listening to Leah on the Light. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the Leah on the Light family. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, remember who you are. Read your scriptures. And please, please preach the gospel. God bless each and every one of you. I will see you on Friday night.